Hey, thanks for dropping by to the Planners on Purpose podcast, created by Naomi Tucker, CMP. Now, this space is for the event planners to encourage and empower you so that you can fully live your life on purpose. So before we dig in, please take a moment to subscribe so you get future shows. Now, here she comes, your host, Naomi.
Well, hello, everyone. This is Naomi Tucker with the Planners on Purpose podcast. I hope you're doing well and that you're leading a life that you absolutely love. I am excited to be here and wanted to talk today about how to talk to event leadership about burnout, or any leadership for that matter, because many times as an event professional, no matter where you are, no matter what role you're in, it can be challenging to really talk to your leaders about what you're experiencing and what you're actually feeling. And even more so as an entrepreneur or as someone who is kind of a leader themselves. Maybe you own your own business. It can be really challenging to express that to others so that you're able to get the help that you actually are in need of. So wanted to talk about that. I thought it would be a very timely subject to talk about because there are some challenges going on in the industry currently. We're seeing a lot of event professionals that are leaving the industry. And why are they leaving the industry? There's many reasons as to why, but one of those reasons are that they're plainly burned out. So how can we stop this flow of people going out and being able to retain people in our industry? And a lot of that has to do with being able to speak up and speak out about the situation that they're in, so there's support that can be there. So wanted to talk to you about that today. And many times when we're burned out, we need to be able to differentiate where you are in the midst of how you're feeling. So are you truly burned out, or are you just going through a stressful situation that really has its end point, right? Many times we're working on an event. We know that we just need to get through the week. And once we get through the week, that event will be over and we'll be back to a normal level. Well, burnout is a little bit different because it's a consistency of just feeling down and out that you're not able to get over. And that can be because you have a lot of work on your plate, but that also can be that you're just flat out tired from the work that you do and you need a little bit of a break. So if you feel like you're like 2 seconds away from blowing up all of the time, maybe every other minute you feel either sad or upset or annoyed, you could be in a situation where you're consistently stressed, that you're burned out, and you really need to bring that up and let someone know about it. And in this case, we're talking about event leadership. We're talking about your leaders letting them know about that. And the reason why you should let them know is because you don't want to assume that your leader knows what's going on, because many times they don't, especially if you're the person that doesn't like to brag or boast, but then on the flip side, you want to suffer in silence. You're used to suffering in silence. If you raise your hand, you feel as though all eyes are on you. You don't want to rock the boat. So if you're that type of person, then that can be really tough, because that means you're suffering in silence. And I'm saying that you probably don't want to do that suffering in silence. You do need to be able to let your leadership know what exactly is going on. So the first step, if we were to put any steps here, is to not assume that your leader knows what's going on and not to suffer in silence. So that's the first step. And the second step, I would just say, is to really evaluate your situation. Because if you are feeling burned out, we want to make sure that we're asking ourselves some key questions that will help us to just understand where we are. And most of those questions, I know for me, it helps when I ask myself, well, what is really the most important thing for me to do right now? What are my priorities right now? Do I have multiple priorities? Is there one priority that I know I need to put at the top of my deck? That's going to be very important. And you also want to know, like, what's holding you back from focusing on other objects. So many times we do have priorities and they're there and we know that they're there. We're looking at them in the face. However, we're not taking action on those priorities. Well, there could be a reason why we're not taking the action on the priorities. Are we feeling confident in the project that we're working in? Is there some deeper challenge that's within the project that we're working in that we definitely need to get through? Many times it could be a difficult conversation that needs to be had on a particular project. And until you have that difficult conversation, you're not moving anything forward. Well, those are things that you really want to take a look at before you really go and approach your leader, because maybe there are some things that you can extract from just reflecting here that can allow you to have a really productive conversation when you do bring things up to your leader. And some other questions that are important to ask is, maybe if you are feeling mentally drained, well, what is the most mentally draining part of your job? What's happening in your job? What is draining your energy the most? And perhaps there's something that's preventing you from doing your job. Maybe there's a tool or resource that isn't available. I know many times, even now, we have situations where there's not necessarily the resources that we need in order to do our work really well, right? So we're overloaded because we need some additional people. We need some additional resources to do some of the work. And that is really what's draining us. So that is a valid concern and something that you would need to just narrow down in and saying, hey, we need the resources for somebody that's handling registration, and we currently do not have that. And because of that, things are backed up, which is causing a lot of overwhelm, a lot of burnout. Making sure we know exactly what tools and resources we need to do our job effectively is just another question to ask ourselves. And just a couple other quick questions is, do our existing processes or the management styles, like what's really happening with our work, do any of those need to change, or are any of those things contributing to the way that you're feeling right now? That's very important too, because many times we can not necessarily see if a process is bogged down because we're just working in it all of the time. So taking that time to reflect, understand, it's really a particular process that's getting clogged and causing so much backlog. When we're able to see that, then we can really focus our intention on fixing that particular challenge. And once we fix that particular challenge, then things tend to go much smoother. And then lastly, you want to just ask yourself, am I going through any other stress that's maybe outside of work that's carrying over into my work? And that can be something too. Many times we go through things. We go through struggles in our personal life. Maybe we have a child that's sick, a sister that's sick. Maybe we are taking care of a mother or somebody that is a relative. Perhaps us ourselves are going through something in our health that we are thinking about, and it's really taking up a lot of mental space. There can be plenty of things. Maybe it could be a financial challenge that's going on in your personal life that really can prevent you from doing your best work at your job. So those are some questions just to ask yourself before you talk to your leader. So all of that was step 2, right? It's ask yourself some self-reflective questions to be able to identify if there's anything that's contributing to your burnout that perhaps you can extract and use for the basis of your conversation. Now, if you find some things, if there's things that you can actually work on and work out, yes, go ahead and go start actioning those. That's great. However, if there are things that your leader can actually help you with, then that is very important. And that's the whole reason for doing this exercise, is for you to be able to see, well, here are some things that I can't really do too much about. However, perhaps in my conversation with my leader, I am able to bring some resolution to some of these particular areas. All right. So now that you've reflected on your situation, it's important that you schedule some time with your event leader, possibly a one-on-one meeting to really talk about and be transparent about your situation. Now, this is just a uncovering type of situation where you're just bringing your situation to the table and perhaps you're asking for guidance from your leader. It's not necessarily putting the gauntlet down, so to speak, but it's more of, hey, here's the situation. This is what's been on my mind. I wanted to bring it to the table. Here's what I've reflected on. Here are some solutions that I've done, and I would need some additional support from you, and here are some options. So that would be how you would approach your event leader with this situation. Many people struggle with this because they don't know how to actually approach their leader with it. And many times you can easily just say, well, hey, I've been overwhelmed by, let's say, the volume of messages that I'm receiving lately. And are you able to chat with me about this? Or a lot of our projects have really been very urgent lately. And I have some things that I've found that can be helpful. If we could do some adjustments, it could really help. Can we talk about it? Or lately we've been experiencing a lot of pressure, and here's where I know that the pressure is, and I have identified some areas that perhaps could be helpful. I am bringing some solutions to the table that can actually help in these areas. Would you be okay to talk about it with me? Let me explain what those are. So those are just some ways that you can bring that up to your leader and lay out the options and what you see for yourself and how you can get out of your situation, or how you can resolve or relieve your burnout by working collaboratively with your event leader in order to come up with a solution. And many times some of the solutions that can be gained are maybe adding on additional team members. Again, many leaders do not know that there's a challenge going on in an area. And after unpacking what's really going on in that particular situation, they perhaps will fully understand that, wow, you are operating at a deficit and you need some additional team members. So, hey, let's go and get some additional team members, or find a way to get you some more resources. So that could be a solution. Or perhaps you're bringing up a situation and that event leader knows that there is somebody that's operating at 50% on the team that could bring some additional hands to you, and you are able to delegate certain projects that you are saying that you need some support in. They are able to give you a person to delegate to. So things like this can happen when you end up talking to event leaders. You can get more resources. You can be able to delegate with other people. And then at the end of the day, if you do need to talk to your event leader and it comes down to, hey, I need to take some additional time off, I just talked to my doctor, and that is something that me having a week off or 2 weeks off is just really going to be helpful for me and my well-being. And I just wanted to bring that to you so we can kind of work out when that's going to be, or perhaps that's going to be now. So make sure that you're able to talk to your event leader about those things as well. And don't be afraid to bring up, hey, I am going to need to take some additional PTO because I am not working at my best right now, and I want to be more at my best. And if I continue in this particular way, I feel as though there'll be more mistakes and I won't be my best. And that's not how I work. So I am going to need to take some time off. And when I come back, it will be great, right? So those are some ways that you can definitely talk to your event leader. At the end of the day, it's important to just always put yourself first. because no one's going to look out for you but you. So don't hide from having these conversations with your leader. Don't suffer in silence. Be the person that brings these things up, because when leaders know about it, then they can do something about it. And when they do something about it, then you'll be able to be a little bit more at rest than what you were. We definitely are in a serving industry. We love to serve. We love to be able to do things for other people, and that is absolutely okay. But when you find that you're in a situation where you're burnt out, you're on the edge, talking to you is like lighting a match every other sentence, then it may be time for you to take a step back and take some time off, or to get the assistance and the help that you are needing, because that can alleviate any risk or additional burdens to the team. So taking care of yourself in the long run is the best route, versus letting it go to the point where you're burned out and you're leaving the industry and you're leaving your job. And we want to retain you in this industry. So make sure that you're having the conversations about this that matter with your event leaders. Well, I hope this really was helpful, and I just hope that you go ahead, if you're struggling with burnout, to go ahead and take that step to talk to your event leader. And if you want to actually work on burnout and work on how to not be consistently burned out, I do have an upcoming Banish Burnout Challenge that you can take part in, and you can check the link in the description for this challenge. I believe it's www.plannersonpurpose.com/banish burnout. Definitely is a really great challenge that you can get involved in and just learn about burnout, learn how to take action, and really get yourself and your business and your work to a place that you can feel very good about it. And it's more than just taking a day off. There's so many things that you can do in order to make yourself get a little bit more clear and a little bit more free of what you're experiencing in your work. So I hope that I can see you at that Banish Burnout Challenge. Go ahead and check it out. The link is in the description. And until next time, my friends, stay on purpose.
Well, that wraps it up for this episode. If you enjoyed the conversation, hit the like button and tell us how much you enjoyed the show by leaving a message in the comments. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.